to know about tonight's meeting and upcoming meetings are located at the rockridgepublicschools.org, or if tonight's meeting is over at the door. I would ask everybody to please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I would ask for a moment of silence for the people over in Israel. Thank you. Tonight, let the board, let the record reflect that Director Sorkin is not here. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, I need discussion. I guess the agenda, there was something was sent to me for a deletion of 4.6, the hire of Jennifer Rebolt. She has denied the position. Should we please make a note of that you were approving the agenda without that? Okay. So, a motion by Director Reardon.
They're removing.
Motion. The motion by Director Reardon to approve the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. Support by
Randy.
Yep.
Director Lotiger. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recognition of visitor input. We have 3 people, I guess, signed up. Cassandra Haney wants to speak on policy 520. Welcome.
Good evening. I hope you are well. Thank you, directors. I'm Cassandra Haney. I'm the Positive Community Norms Grant Coordinator for Rockridge. Thank you so much for your work reviewing and updating our district policies. I would like to comment on the proposed changes to policy 520, student surveys. It's important for the board to be aware that information gathered by student surveys, such as the Minnesota Student Survey, impact resources made available by local, county, state, and federal organizations. School districts, local public health agencies, and community nonprofits use local data to hold community forums, stimulate discussion about needs for youth, obtain grant funding, and plan programs. Specific to our region, this information helps identify needs for training such as Safe Talk, Change the Outcome, and Youth Mental Health First Aid, which are all trainings geared at identifying indicators of mental health struggles, substance misuse prevention, and suicide preventative practices. Additionally, this data helps provide local agencies with the justification for assessment and pursuit of grants and programs which can be leveraged to support the improvement of offerings, resources, and outreach. The concern with having opt-in rather than opt-out is that it would decrease the participation rate, which would decrease the dependability of results. If this decrease were due to a decision by parents to not have their children participate in surveys, that would be okay. My concern is that it would cause an unintentional default rather than an intentional decision. I want to be clear that I am very much in favor of parents being informed. The current procedure for the MSS is parents to be alerted in writing by the school district prior to administration. They are allowed to view the survey and they are allowed to opt their students out of the survey. Our district accepts any form of opt-out, including phone calls or an email to the district. Last time the Minnesota Student Survey was administered, 5% of students were opted out by their parents. That shows the system is working. My concern is 44% of K-12 students have yet to turn in their annual beginning of the year paperwork, according to our high school office. This is an incredibly low response rate for basic information needed by the district. This level of default opting out would decrease the validity of the data obtained. There are other ways to obtain information that tell us how students are doing in terms of substance use, truancy rates, and mental health crises. However, all of these are trailing indicators, many of which aggregate crisis-level data. Surveying students allows local providers to anticipate needs based on leading indicators. Specific to the PCN grant, correcting misperceptions of substance use is of paramount importance. We know through 30 years of longitudinal studies that correcting misperceptions of student substance use results in lower student use rates. In order to do that, we have to have good data saying what those rates are. One of the roles of the school board is to remove barriers for students in our school district, which includes gathering meaningful information from our students. Continuing to use an opt-out system will allow for that. Thank you for your attention.
Can I just ask one question? I missed the percentage rate that you said for forms not being turned in.
44.
So,
Yeah.
so far this year, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Cassandra. Up next is Matt, Craig, or Samantha, where I don't see Matt, but,
There he is.
okay. You're Samantha?
Yes.
Okay, hi, welcome. You got 3 minutes.
Good evening, school board. I'm here to discuss item 6.3, policy 520, student surveys. As an educator and advisor, I use many surveys to gain feedback from the students. It is imperative that students are able to share with us their knowledge, their hopes, their concerns, and their ideas. My student groups use surveys to better understand the pulse of the student body, gain feedback on school-wide events, what they would like to see happen in the school, and what trips or positive experiences would be fun and beneficial. At the last meeting, it was stated this policy change would result in a checkbox on the yearly student forms. While this seems like a small change, it affects the entire district. 44% of our district students do not turn in their yearly forms. That means 44% of our students would not be able to participate in surveys that affect their lives and education. Nearly half of our students would not be allowed to participate in decisions. Did you know 38% of 8th graders and 42% of 9th graders don't know what programs are available in the community? That 50% of 8th graders and 42% of 9th graders do not participate in activities outside of school. 89% of 8th and 97% of 9th graders do not participate in tutoring, homework help, or academic programs. This data from the 2022 MSS helps student groups plan and serve the student population. I'm here asking you not to change the policy 520 student surveys to an opt-in policy. With this change, you would be silencing 44% of our district students. Just because a change is presented does not mean it's what most parents want, nor is it best for students. I hope our student groups will continue to be able to gain student voice and input. They plan events and make decisions that impact their peers. They need to be able to gain ideas and get feedback in order to be effective leaders within the school. They will not be able to do this if you change this policy to an opt-in. If changed, I hope you would be able to design a system for us to adequately keep track of the students who opt in so we are aware of what students are able to participate. We would also need a detailed list of questions that do and do not meet the criteria needing opting in. With this change, we would need to ensure students are given questions that they do not rely on their family values, personal history, or morals to answer. Even a question as simple as, should a dance be formal, is a question about family life and the ability to purchase formal clothing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wasn't what we were talking about though, as far as surveys. It had nothing to do with like personal school surveys.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
I thought it didn't. I thought it was just a state survey and the,
Up next is Samantha, or Matt, sorry.
The better half, no, better half already spoke.
Yeah.
Good evening, school board. I am here to discuss item 6.3, policy 520, student surveys, and the effects that the proposed change would have on our students, our student groups, and our school community. I am going to address this policy change from a variety of perspectives. First, as a coordinator of the Rockridge High School web program, I rely on all kinds of data from various types of surveys to better inform the decisions made about our program. A high-quality web program starts with training our leaders to be effective. Our web leaders cannot be effective unless they know what struggles, barriers, and trends exist within our school. Among other things, survey data tells us how many of our students are engaged in school activities, sports, and academic supports such as tutoring. The data also tells us why students make the choices they do about being involved in school. Knowing these trends and barriers allows our leaders to provide our students with a variety of positive experiences aimed at improving their overall educational experience. Without this information and insight, we would not be able to adequately meet the needs of our incoming 7th grade students, and their transition to high school would be significantly impacted. Second, as a member of the Rockridge High School's first week planning committee, I know firsthand that this proposed change would have completely hampered our ability to provide the students with the kind of first week they had this year. Last spring, several groups surveyed students of all ages about their hopes, their concerns, and their fears about the transition to our new Rockridge High School. This student information drove every decision we made about the planning of the first week. Without that information, we would have been unable to adequately meet the needs of our students, and the first weeks of our school year would have been vastly different. In the future, any such planning of school-wide events or activities would not be effective due to the loss of the knowledge gained through surveys. Next, as a teacher, I'd like to know who will determine what questions can and cannot be asked. Who will screen our surveys? How will we know what kids can and cannot answer our survey questions? Also, how far does this policy extend? If a classroom discussion veers into these topics, do we stop and have the kids who cannot participate leave the classroom? I hope, if passed, that the board has a plan to address the logistical issues this policy will create. Finally, as a parent, this proposed change is concerning as it will potentially be eliminating the student voice on issues that truly matter. Recently, there has been a call from the public to let students give their input on many significant issues pertaining to student life and their experiences in school. This option for student voice and input would potentially be eliminated with this proposed policy change, something I don't think the community would support if they knew the long-range effects of this seemingly simple policy change. On paper, this policy sounds like a simple switch. In reality, this change would have a devastating and monumental effect on our ability to provide our students with a positive and effective educational experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Next, John Yuhan wants to speak on,
That's all, no, I was going to say that you didn't, that's all that signed up to speak?
yep, that's all signed up.
You didn't
to speak.
block anybody, you didn't turn anybody down?
Nope, no.
There's a lot of static on social media in the last week and a half, 2 weeks that we don't tell, or we don't allow people to speak, or don't allow input, and so that's, I'd welcome all those people that post to have their 3 minutes or contact us separately, and
What do you, are,
just, and there's a lot of people that are hiding behind the screen of their phone, and it's kind of getting old to me, so I welcome their input here. I guess it's easier to go on a computer than it is, or a phone than it is to take part in a meeting, and I welcome them to come here.
okay. Okay. Moving on. All right, you're done, right?
I'm done.
Okay. I didn't, caught me off guard, but that's okay. Item 4,
agenda.
the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda with item 4.6 removed? Moved by Director Colbert-Dahl.
Support.
Support by Director Yuhan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Up next, reports, treasurer's report. I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Motion.
Support. By Director Reardon. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Up next, 5.2, Parkview Principals Report. Ms. Stefanich.
Thank you, board member. Oh my goodness. Thank you, board members, and good evening. I'm coming to you here a month into school, wanting to let you know that the start of the school year went really well at Parkview. Classes went really well. Teachers were excited. Kids were excited. We had our students coming in. We had a nice Parkview Carnival at the end of September put on by our PTA, and we had great attendance at that. That was one of our fundraisers that we did, and it was attended very well, and the Parkview PTA was very pleased with the profit that they made off of it. So our teachers really hit the ground running. I do have to tell you, busing was a hiccup. It used to always be a hiccup with the young kids at the Parkview, but the teachers and the staff at Parkview have just been so flexible and so willing to help out there. We do have it under control now. We have it where the teachers are getting out and still having to help a little bit at the end of the day, but the busing has been a little bit smoother, of course, as you add all those kids in and work at. So some upcoming things that we do have going on throughout the month of October here. ECFE is taking their first field trip to Cook Country Connections here. Shannon Cush has a community engagement session, I believe it's this Friday, where families and caregivers are invited to come in and give their input and have a a session with questions and things like that, that is then reported back to the Department of Health and the Department of Education. So we invite any caregivers, parents to go to those meetings, especially talking about the transition from children from early childhood into kindergarten or from homes into kindergarten, and the various developmental tools like the testing and the screenings that they do for that. So we also have 2 pre-K teams that have participated in the classroom engagement model training. And that's a 5-session training that Shannon went and got a grant for. They've done 1 session, they're starting to implement some of those strategies, and then they'll do the rest of the 4 sessions here as the year goes on. It's kind of a continuous thing. Our fall festival for all of our pre-K through K, or through 2nd grade actually, will be on October 31st. That will be put on for the kiddos during the day. And last but not least, I have our conferences on here because I won't be back before then, but we have our Parkview Parent-Teacher conferences on November 14th and 16th, right before, the week before Thanksgiving. So, questions of me?
Any questions?
Perfect.
Thanks, Shana.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheena.
Up next, 5.3, Superintendent.
Thank
Report.
you, Director Addy. Members of the school board, a few things to update the board on. One is class sizes. We'll start with the elementary, and I believe Mike's going to project some numbers up on it. And so what this is, things have settled down a little bit. We always have kids coming and going. It takes a few weeks for us to finish that. And so what you see on the board, Mike put this in a pithy version for those folks at home who can watch it, and the audience, you have the same data, it just looks slightly different on the elementary. So when you're looking at the class sizes, you can actually see the name of the teacher, the grade level, and you can see how many kids are in each one of those classes. And it's not equally distributed, it's actually really good. Our class sizes are really good. But they're not, try not to get caught up with the difference of 1, 2, or 3 between class sizes from building to building, because that's sometimes just the normal fluctuation that happens. And we do our best that when the parents say they want the kids to go, we take them. We're not saying no to anybody as far as which building they want to go to. So the class sizes, this is where they are right now. Next year, 5 years from now, it might look a little different, but just so you can see where the elementary class sizes are right now. I'm going to pause right here, and any questions from any board member about the elementary class sizes?
I just had a statement. I think I really like it. I mean, wasn't that long ago we had an incoming kindergarten class at Evelyn Gilbert of 29, and I don't see that anywhere on there. It seems like we've leveled out really nice. Mm-hmm. I don't know, do you remember what year that was? Was that 2 years ago or?
Yeah, it was. And what's happened is some of those kids went to Parkview
that's what I
at the
figured.
time. And so now that Laurentian is done, they're coming back to Laurentian, the attendance area. But you're also at Laurentian, because it's new, you're also attracting some kids and parents who they weren't sending their child there before.
Yeah.
And that's helped bring those numbers up especially at Laurentian. And I suspect that when North Star is finished and people see the finished product, we'll see the same effect at North Star. We'll have some parents coming back, parents who didn't send their child there, they're going to like the building, and I think you'll see a little bit of a rebound there too at North Star. And then, Mike, can you put up the high school class? And Mike has it in you also have the format here. This one is longer. And Mike, can you slowly scroll it down while I'm talking? And if you're watching on TV or wherever in the audience, this is all online, so you can go to Board Book and you can look at it if you want. You can see all of the classes, you can see the name of the teacher, and you can see how many kids are in each one of those classes. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is there's more variability. There's more difference between classes. That's actually kind of normal in a high school, because we have some courses that kids need And it might, and for certain situations, and so we need to offer it, so you might have some class sizes a little lower, and then you might have some other classes a little higher. So if you see a 32 somewhere in a class, somewhere in that building, there's also going to be a 23, a 19, a 17. So the statistical average will average out. We also have some courses that, like for example, in band and choir, sometimes depending what the grade level, the gender of the kids, sometimes those instructors like those classes a little bit larger, just because of who's in the class. It just kind of depends, especially on the grade level. But you can see exactly what the class sizes are. They tend to be a little bit higher in the 7th, 8th grade because that's where you don't have very many electives. The electives open up once the kids get older, and so you're more likely to see some of those class sizes drop because these are they're electives, they're classes that kids want for unique reasons. Like there you can see a 5 in one class, and you'll see some classes also where they're lower numbers, but we do it because you just can't have 40 kids in a shop class. Or in a culinary class or something else like that. So this is for the boards, so you know, so when people ask you about class sizes, hey, I hear about this, you can go straight to the document, and these are first semester class sizes, and tell everybody what the class size, like right now we got a whole string of class sizes as Mike's scrolling, it's in the high teens, low 20s, so they're kind of balancing out, and this is normal in a high school with a lot of electives. We can offer a lot more electives because the two high schools are together. Smaller high schools can't do this. This is tough. This is why to many parents, they want to send their kid here because you can offer electives in the high school that in some of the smaller high schools, they just can't offer them. And that's a plus to the kids because the kids and parents, depending who they are and what they're looking for something like that. I'm going to pause right here. Any questions from any board member about the high school class size list?
Seems like 40 kids in a class would be an awful lot of kids.
It is, and the teachers will tell you that. It is. So we have some courses that we just got to run them. And so that's when Mark Winter has to make some decisions about, can I split it into two sections, 20 and 20, or is this a class that we can put 40 kids in it? And
I see 46 there too.
They're banned.
That's banned.
Okay.
And
Choir.
That's 69 there?
A lot of kids.
He can handle it.
Yeah.
So I see an English language here with 3 and English concepts with 43.
And I believe if you had all the English teachers and the principals in the room right now, they would tell you we need more English teachers. They would say, yes, we need more English teachers.
So we have 3 in this one. Can we downsize that at all
Right now, no.
okay.
This is when they're looking at the schedule and the roster and they're making decisions. Should we run it? Should we not run it? And what also enters in is when this whole thing was laid out, there might have been 3 kids in it. There could have been 13. We could have had some kids shift and suddenly at the last minute go to another course. So that's another thing they have to try and anticipate and guess about. But they kind of know what's going to happen, but that's a course that they'll be thinking about, well, should we run it again next year? And sometimes you'll see a low number, but you'll see other sections that got 25 kids. It just depends what hour it is, and sometimes it's harder for a kid to get into a certain class a certain hour because of other electives they're looking for. So that's why, I mean, you just said Strasser was just up there, and he had some 25s, and I think he had only a 5 in another class. And sometimes that happens with a high school schedule. You don't want it to happen, but it just sometimes happens. But this is kind of normal for a larger high school to see the numbers like this. But when you look at them overall, they're really, I know some teachers are going to disagree, and I get it. They're not too bad.
We don't seriously run a class with one student in it, do we?
Say that again?
We don't seriously run a class with one student in it.
There are some unusual courses that we have them in there for certain reasons. Because like, look at Emily, those are kids who are going down to the room. Could be a resource room situation, could be an extra study help situation. But we do that so we can keep track of the kids. So when we pull up a kid, we know where they are every single period of the day.
Okay.
And are we running like one classroom with 2 teachers and 2 separate subjects? I've heard that's happening. So 2 separate subjects, maybe it's higher math, lower math, and 2 teachers in one room. I heard that's happening.
If we are, I don't know what it is.
Anyone else hear that?
I've heard that once.
I heard about, so I think it was social studies, so.
Every once in a great while, something like that happens. So I'm not going to say it's not happening.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes in special ed. It happens sometimes in some world language courses. Even in large districts, sometimes there are courses where they have 2 different levels in the same room. You really don't want to do that unless you absolutely happen. It's possible it could have happened. I'll have to ask.
I heard it was like math or.
Math,
Yeah, you-
2 different,
All right, I'm
different
in
ages.
the audience and I see some teachers' head shaking. So,
Yes.
so it must exist, but that doesn't surprise me because we're trying to. Does not happen very often. We don't want it to happen, but if we're trying to give kids the courses they want and fill out the teacher schedule, sometimes we do that.
And then how difficult is that to be teaching 2 different?
I feel like we need a little bit more information on that, really.
We do.
I mean, I think kind of, I get the idea of maybe even kids mentoring other kids, but I have heard that some kids are having a hard time paying attention or learning or whatever. So I just think it's a good exploratory.
So next board meeting, we'll bring somebody in who can talk to you about
Okay.
that.
That sounds
And
good.
you can directly ask them.
That sounds
How's it going? What are you seeing?
Okay.
They used to do that all the time in elementary.
All righty, so we'll move on to 5.33, school update.
Gilbert School update. This came up in the last board meeting. Somebody knew of a group of people who might be interested in the Gilbert building. So I contacted them, we hooked up, I walked them through the entire Gilbert building. There were originally 5. I think there were 2 or 3 who actually went through the whole Gilbert building. We went through it. They were the right people. They've done remodels before. They have the financing group. They looked through it, and after thinking with it, we gave them all sorts of documents. They said what every other group has said. It's too much money. We can't make a financial go of it. The costs are too expensive to do it. We're interested, however, in the land. So if the site were cleared, we'd like to talk about maybe the land. So they said politely, no, thank you. So we're moving forward. We do not have anyone else interested in the Gilbert building. The due bid auction is up and running. I believe there's actually 2 auctions because there's so much stuff that we had to break it into 2 auctions. So if you're listening or in the audience, Christmas is coming up. So this is your opportunity for a great present for everybody in your family. So take a look at it. There's some awesome stuff for sale, but we're hopefully the local folks here will find something that they can like on the Gilbert building.
And I believe an email went out today too.
Email did, yeah.
Yep. And relative to the Gilbert building, I believe they're on target at the next board meeting. I believe you're going to hear what the bids were for the Gilbert demolition. And then you can make a decision, if you're ready, on what you want to do on that topic.
I have a question. So I don't know what's left in Gilbert. Is there a lot of desks and things like that? Or, has it been emptied from that? Or
Not when we're done with the sale, there won't be.
so in Virginia, did all that kind of stuff go? All
Yep.
the desks and everything? Okay.
Not everything, because we did move some stuff to the Evelyn campus, because it's still there and we still have people there, but we tried to sell as much as we could, and a lot of the Gilbert stuff has already been moved out because we've had some sales there. This is the everything must go sale.
Okay. I do have a suggestion that someone brought up to me. I guess another school district had done this when they closed their building. things that they couldn't sell, they actually put it in a shipping container, and I do not know the schematics of this, how much it would cost or anything, but they shipped it to like Africa or South America, somewhere that could use desks and that kind of thing. So it's just food for thought.
And we have looked into that, and when at Books for Africa, because they do this all the time, because they're the #1 group who does things like this, they ship other things besides books too, it is prohibitively expensive. And they will tell you, you know, it's better if you actually donate money, because then it's more inexpensive for us to send the money over there. They can buy what they really need. But I mean, it's a great idea.
Sure,
It's the shipping.
right. Yeah, I get it.
It's just incredibly
Yeah, that makes sense.
expensive. So any questions about the Gilbert building? Next one, just want to give you an update on this, a couple things, that 4 and 5, questions that board members had last time. So we looked into it, just so to give you answers for it, because the question came up about there were some social skills, emotional regulation materials that were purchased, and those are purchased by special ed teachers. We have a number of special ed teachers and kids in the district, and all of them are on IEPs, and many of their IEPs have specific things about social skills and behavioral regulation and how to work with, how to find friends, how to make friends. And so that was the purpose of these materials, was used within the special ed classroom in the special ed world. So it was a good question, but I just want to go back that those materials, that's what they were purchased for, and it's very common for our special ed teachers, K-12, to be using some type of materials like this for the kids in their caseload. A lot of times you'll see it directly written into their IEP.
Thank you for clarifying that.
The next thing I want to just update the board on, because the board had questions about Anatomage. I know you did make a decision. I just want to follow up on it, just so you know we're following up on it. So Willie did some follow-up on this one, and there was another question came up, what about this other Anatomage table? So Willie did some research and data on, this is the one that was made in Russia. It is not used in this area. There are parts issues, there are software updates issues, which I can't imagine getting any better over the next couple of years. So I believe it was going to be, there is another one, it was going to be problematic because of where it was made and where the updates are coming from. So I believe the board, you made a wise decision to go with the one you did, because that's the one here used in the area that the kids are going to see and most relevant to the job. So I just want to give an update on it. We did look into that table. Yeah, it just wasn't going to work here.
And on that Russian table, is it my belief, is it my understanding that that company has no ties to America whatsoever, so getting one would be impossible?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but software updates, it'd be problematic, yes.
Yeah.
And any updates, any repairs, any warranties, it might be kind of, well, good luck on that.
Okay.
Taillight
It just would have
warranty.
been difficult.
Well, thanks for
Yet.
looking into it. Looks like we made a good decision, so.
And then the next thing, want to tell you that you did get a letter from the Rotary, because we did make a basket, and by we, I mean Stacy Lampa, so all credit goes to Stacy. She put together a very nice basket with Rockridge materials, t-shirts, some paraphernalia, all this stuff. We did bring it down to the chili cook-off that was held fairly recently, and that's what you see, the thank you letter, but all credit needs to go to Stacy. It was an awesome basket, and she's the one who really put it together. So I just wanted to let you know about that part of it.
And I'd say next year,
Stacy,
well, thank you. I'd say next year we have a student table cook-off and bring some chili there and have our culinary.
awesome idea.
Culinary.
Great idea.
They're always looking for more cooks.
Yeah, I went. It was great.
Okay, with that being said, policies, this would be the second reading. Do you guys want to do them individually, or?
Yeah.
I think,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the second reading of 504?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Director Yuan,
I'll second.
Support by Director Gilbert Dahl. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 515. Can I get a motion to approve 515?
Make that motion?
I second it.
Support by Director Westby. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 520.
I'd like to make a motion to go back to parents needing to opt out.
I'll support.
So you want to go back to MSBA model?
To
policy?
MSBA, yes.
So we got motion by Director Lotiger and support by Director Reardon to go back to MSBA model policy. Any discussion?
I'd like to thank those that spoke and the email we got to clarify the policy. So I appreciate that.
Any more discussion on 520?
I do think we should just clarify everything a little bit. Yeah, I do appreciate different perspective and to hear that because it makes sense. And I do really wrestle with this a lot because I understand that, but yet like the core of me feels like parents need to know what's happening in their kid's life. I guess normal just questionnaires, I don't have a problem with for the school, but I feel like anything that is more in depth, personal should have, parent. Okay, I don't know. I just feel that in my core, but I understand that maybe I'm in the minority. I don't know.
But I think like it was said, and a letter goes out to parents regarding the one that you're discussing. So they have that option. So they are getting involved.
Well, the thing is, they probably aren't. Like, I never saw that email. I've gotten it because I miss so many emails and you just don't even think about it. Just like she said, 44% of the papers aren't coming back. So are parents really paying attention? And I think that's an issue too.
It is.
Like, why aren't we getting our paperwork back? And how do you handle that? Because there's permissions on that, and then there's iPads, and I don't understand that. How can a kid get an iPad without the parent sending anything back? If there's 44% of kids don't have iPads or don't have any health information out there or emergency contact or permission to take their picture. I mean, there's a slew of things. I mean, is that really what's happening? I mean, that's kind of disturbing.
But last week, the argument was that we're just going to send out, and the parents, the first day the kid comes home, they're just going to check it off. It's better to have the parent opt out because then they know what they're opting out of rather than just coming by and checking 100 boxes or 10 boxes or whatever, and they're opting into maybe something they don't know. So most of the serious, if you want to call them, I wouldn't call them serious, but serious surveys.
Yeah, I mean,
they send a letter out to the parents, and if the parents read it and don't want their child to do it, they can opt out.
But you said you haven't gotten.
Well, I mean, I'm sure I have.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I do, sorry, teachers, but I do, I get a lot of emails and I do, just think you get a lot of school correspondence too. That is really nothing that you have to act on. So I might go back later or whatever. But I'm just saying, I like the idea of parents. I don't know why this is such a bad thing, involvement and knowing what their kid is doing and being okay with it. I don't know. I just have a hard time with it. I don't know. I like I said, what Mr. Craig was saying and Mrs. Craig, I get it. Like, those are fine. And I'm sure those are fine with most, what do you want to do for this or that? No big deal. I'm talking about the really extensive ones. And it's like, and I get it. Oh, they're great for programs, but we never have a list of exactly how does it help. We always say, oh, this is wonderful. This helps us here and there. But specifically, how does that help us, this information? And that's another topic, but that's something that I'd like to know too. Mm-hmm. Like, who gets that information? How does it get? Like, and I'm not trying to be like, difficult. I'm just really honestly wanting to know. So,
and I would say the 44% still lands on the parents. It shouldn't be the school's, the teacher's responsibility to carry that through. parents should be paying attention too.
Yeah, I don't know.
And we do fail and falter, we do, but it still should be us. So,
The MSBA writes it as an opt-in for a very specific reason, and that's because parents get a lot of stuff. And if they want their son or daughter to opt out specifically because of whatever reason it may be, the parents will do it.
And she said it was.
And it's a small percentage.
5% opt out. So, man, that's.
But also 44% are not bringing in their homework. So how many percentage are not reading emails? Probably the same. That's my point. Well,
I don't think that's anything that we can handle, take care of here if they're not.
I don't.
They're not reading their emails. That's
Yeah.
nothing that we can fix here.
Okay.
I'm just saying I have a hard time with it. I totally get it. I do. But I just think parents' knowledge and parents' rights are important.
yes.
I feel like it's important to note, not only did we say at the last meeting, but they also said at this meeting, everybody wants parental involvement. I mean, it's not just because, they're advocating for this doesn't mean that they're not wanting parent involvement. So I just think that's important to be said, because I think we all want parent involvement.
Yeah, I think they said that. I think that was.
And I did.
I believe that too. I'm just, voicing how I feel.
All righty. So 6.3 item, or policy 520. We got a motion by Director Lotiger, supported by Director Reardon to go back to MSBA model policy. Now, this will take it, if we agree to this, it'll go back to the first reading.
First reading.
First reading, yeah.
Okay. So just so you're aware that it goes back to the first reading. That being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So it's 4-2. Okay.
First reading then, okay.
Goes back to the first reading. Okay. Thank you. Administrative items, consider approval of quote for the Rockbridge Ninja Experience to be constructed at the new elementary school. I hope everybody read up on that and kind of figured out what it was about. And I think Mr. Manny and Mr. Speltz are going to speak to that.
And school board, as they're walking up, they're going to present to you, and this is one of those situations where you can think about it until the next board meeting, or if you feel you're ready to make a decision, you can go either way.
So we've been looking for a couple of years at this in my fundraising role for, how many of you have seen American Ninja Warrior on television? Anybody seen a commercial? Anybody seen a TV show? I was on there in '71, but they lost the tape. None of that's true. But it's really exploded, and of course, when we live up here, we don't see everything right away. We're trying to change that as we speak with your anatomage purchase, and now hopefully this purchase. We want to get our kids up to speed with everybody else in the metro area. That's just something that we feel is important. But this is quite a gym. It's basically called a gym, and they have opened up private in the Twin Cities everywhere. So if you ever wonder why the Twin Cities is oftentimes ahead of us in sporting activities, it's because of their facilities, it's because of their training programs, it's because of all the opportunities that are available. And we want to bring this up here. So Mike, can we show that video, please? If you haven't seen it, all of you said you did. I know last week, I apologize for standing in front of the camera over there.
At Conquer Ninja Gyms, you don't just train to become a better ninja. You train to become a better, more well-rounded athlete. Agility, strength, coordination, and endurance are all aspects of ninja training that develop a well-balanced
That's the
fitness
gym right there.
that will not only enhance your abilities at obstacle racing, but in all other sports you do. No matter what sport it is. So no matter what your athletic goals may be, Ninja Cross Training will help you reach new heights. Become Ninja Strong. Conquer Ninja.
Thanks, Mike. So you can go on YouTube and see many more of those examples. It is an incredible positive community asset, it's a positive youth asset, it's encouraging activity. It gives our kids something to do in the winter, in bad weather. We don't have a lot of those places. Dr. Schmidt brought the indoor playground to Laurentian. We want to bring the Ninja Gym to the North Star. You got anything, Scott? Or?
Well, one of the things we need, our school is going to be the hub of Virginia. It's going to be the destination. I can't think of a better place to have students after school than to be able to go here and be able to get physical activity within walking distance of the school. And our sporting clubs and everybody else. This is a destination. They can have birthday parties. They can do all kinds of things. It's merging the community and the school. So that's why we look at, we're going after something amazing, and this would add it to our school.
The community ed opportunities, we can have leagues, we can have camps. Teams that come to town for tournaments can rent it out. If any of you have ever been to the trampoline park in Duluth, or teams can come in and rent it out. Community ed could run with this like crazy. We could have all kinds of morning camps, summer camps, training camps, everything. I believe many team building activities for all of our Rock Ridge teams, and you watch, others around us will come and use it as a team building activity. Colleges, I believe, will. I think everybody will find it as a great place to come and do wonderful things.
And where will this be constructed at?
That was my question.
If you've been over in the old Roosevelt Elementary, which is now down, the gymnasium that stayed up, that was attached to it, had a monster multi-purpose room underneath the gym. Huge. We had wrestling in there, plus weight equipment in there, plus, everything. Big monster space. It will be down there. And at the same time, there is another room off to the side that used to be able to lock, and that's where we put the free weights when that gym was built in 89, 90, 91. So they had wrestling and training out in this big multi-purpose room. Well, now in that room, we can have birthday parties, we can have lunch tables set up, people can come there and work all day, and they can eat there during lunch, working out, all of that stuff. So there's when the guy came from the cities, he said, I'm normally in a pole building when we get started. I'm normally looking at just an old office building. This is the best setup I've ever seen to start with a Concord gym. You guys have everything that you need to be set up, and it's already here. The walls are already up, the ceiling's already high enough, everything.
What are the age ranges of this, a child that would go through something like that? What is it? Where does it start?
Set up anywhere from 4, 5
to college.
Senior citizen. It can all be set up however you want. They can lower things down. They can set up different, for different ages. For the little kids, they can bring everything down for them. They can have smaller obstacles. They can be on the wall. It's not a vertical wall. It'll be a horizontal climbing wall. They can be down here. It'll be set up for all of them. They can personalize it how you wish. And we'll learn how. That when they say we've got a birthday party of 4 to 6-year-olds coming, I'm not working that day there, by the way, but we got a birthday party of 4 through 6-year-olds coming. Okay, let's set it up in little kids.
Yeah. So on 7.1, is the board
I have just questions.
ready to, are we,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is so cool. This is so awesome. I love it. In fact, I lived in the cities for, I don't know how long, 10 years or whatever. And there was a plethora of stuff to do when my son was little. And when we moved back here, that was my greatest complaint, because there was just like, what do we do in the winter? There were so many things to do in the cities, which was cool. So this kind of fills another need. I love it. My question is cleaning it. Who's going to clean it? And is that going to be the schematics of it?
They'll teach us all of that, right? The company will come and show us what needs be, but we'll clean it with our custodial staff because it'll be our facility. And we'll look at it, and we can rent this out. Again, you hear this, it'll pay for itself. Well, of course, if we manage the memberships, if we encourage memberships, if we do all, you don't have to, but because we're going to be able to pay for it, but this is how you can continue it going along. Every time a team comes in, there's a fee, small fee, of course, nominal, but, and then we can have, we can adopt it ourselves and have people that use it clean it when they're done.
So schematically, you think that it could work, or?
Absolutely. And then just so the board knows, because I know the question is coming up, how would you pay for this? You have the money. You did very well with the legislative session, and this is part of the total package deal. When North Star was designed, this was all included in here. So it's not part of that 13.7 million bond. You have enough money from the other monies to finish North Star, like the sales tax, et cetera, mining tax, to finish that and put that in. And we always wanted to do it, but because Laurentian has a unique playground. That doesn't exist almost anywhere. And so this way, North Star would have something unique also. And so the money is there, that's where the money would came up, but we want to send this to you so you know about it and you can make a decision on, do you want to do this or do you not want to do this? And this is something we also would envision FIAD classes using because they're there. And so FIAD classes could go through there all the time also.
This is
being a fourth grade student, being able to go to a complex like this for a brain break during the day, if you can imagine that. Just to be able to have a facility like that for students to be able to go take a break from class and be able to move.
I guess my concern about it is, you know, obviously I love having all these opportunities for kids, but in, you know, the meet and confer meeting that we had, there was concern about us dropping programs or dropping apps for academic purposes. And so, and, you know, and it even came up for the table about the, you know, the funding for the table and about these programs being cut and things. And my only concern is when this first started, academics was, you know, the academies was something that I was really passionate about and continue to be passionate about. And I just want to make sure that we are sticking to what we had planned, and we're going to ensure that we see that through, and we're going to offer kids more academic classes and more opportunities to learn about careers and things like that. So my concern is, this is great and I love it, but are we also going to be able to provide the things that we promised at the start of this too?
The answer is yes. Now, the first question that came up at meet and confer, and we said we would do this, the administrative group would take a relook at those because it is from a different pool of money. Welcome to Minnesota School Finance. They're completely different pools of money. So we are taking a look at some of the apps that some of the teachers brought up in the meet and confer because they do cost money, and they were advocating to bring some back. So on the admin side, we'll look at that, to take a look at that. On the Ninja, the academics, what was said, when we did all the community focus meetings also, and the teachers, what do you want in an elementary? What should kids do? One of the big things, and this was both in the old Gilbert district at the time, because that's when these occurred in the Virginia. One, there were several big things that came through. One of those teachers said, I want windows. I want to be able to look out. Another big thing that came through, kids, it's cold up here. Kids got to move. We want to figure out some way we can get kids to move. And so that's why the playground ended up in Laurentian. And on the movement side of things, which helps, and the research is very clear in elementaries, if kids can move every once in a while in elementary, they do better academically. They really do better. The worst thing you can do for an elementary kid is have them just sit for 7 hours a day and not do. Their academic performance just nosedives. So we know if we can get them moving every once in a while, and you're moving on that Ninja thing. This is not standing around waiting for a ball for you to catch a ball. They're moving around, so we think this is a really good way to help them out physically, but also we know it's going to have an academic side because the kids are going to do better whenever they can move around a little bit more. And the reality is up here, and this is unique to up here, it's 35 below in the winter. We can't necessarily send the kids outside all the time. And so that thought came through strong. If we were able to do it, could we figure out some way indoors to have the kids move? And this is one of our solutions. would help to that. Not the only things, but we know there's going to be an academic. It's why you also have Maxine up here extolling the virtues of movement with the kindergartners, preschool, first graders. She's doing that because the kids perform better in the classroom because they're moving around. North Star doesn't have anything like that right now. We're recommending that if you do, this will help.
So would this part be a class that they'd partake in, or is this going to be after-school activities?
You have an endless array of possibilities here. The most important reason why you would do this is for your kids right there during the school day. They can go in it.
Recess?
Yep, bi-ed, recess, you name it. They can run sections through there. I think they said, Willie, how many kids can you run through that ninja course at a time? Was it 30, 35?
Yeah, I think it might have been up to 50, yeah.
It's two elementary class sections that can be in there at the same time. If you wanted to, we also could run it for, you heard Willie talk about community ed events, open it up to the public. There, you could have birthdays on Saturday. We've had some birthday parties in the Laurentian area by the playground because the playground's right there. It'd be the same kind of thing, and then depending what you wanted to do with it, and I believe you would be the first anywhere in the north, I think, as far as I know, you could have major ninja activities. Think American Gladiator, you've seen them on TV. You could run those here because this is a course that is certified as such. And so you would have, if you wanted to, and we'd run this to community ed, you could have, and this is not fantasy that I'm talking about, there's a lot of, you could have people coming here specifically for tournaments and spending money, staying here overnight. You could, but that's not why we're recommending it. But
I mean, I think it's a great option though, because we are lacking in things to do for.
Only would have cooked McDonald's so much in the winter.
Yeah. I'm 100% behind it. I think it's awesome and we need it for North Star, definitely.
I think it is, again, a wonderful, wonderful thing. I just want to make sure that we're keeping in mind what the focus was with career academies and making sure that we are on the right track for that.
And so just to clarify and recap a little bit, this would come from the North Star fund or pot that IRRB was a part of.
They were part of it. Also, the sales tax exemption was a part because those were money specific.
And we have up to 1.2 million loose change that we can use on this, that we wouldn't be taken away from anything that was absolutely necessary.
No.
Okay.
And do you know if Maxine would be able to utilize that space too? I mean.
Well, she's at Laurentian. I don't think
she's at Laurentian, but doesn't mean she only has to be at the Laurentian.
I can predict with great accuracy. If Maxine were here, she'd be saying, great, make me full time. I'd love to go around to these other places.
I would also think that maybe, a field trip by the Laurentian to the North Star.
Sure, good call.
Well said. Would be, so they can kind of experience it, and if they want to come to our playground, they can, I mean, kind of like we are one district, so.
Yeah, that way everybody can access it, yeah.
Good idea.
Anybody check with our?
You'll see the 7th and 8th grade and the 9th grade and maybe some Phi Ed. I see Steph here, she may see it and go, I'm taking my 10th graders there tomorrow, this is gonna be awesome, we're gonna go there, we're gonna have our own internal ninja competition.
Anybody checked with our insurance agent to see what that's gonna?
Actually, it's a great idea. Insurance.
What this is gonna do to our liability insurance?
Jamie told me it's just like a playground, Willie.
All right.
Okay.
I make a motion to.
No, that doesn't.
We got a motion by Director Yuhan, support by Director Colbert-Dahl to approve 7.1. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Big time. That's wonderful.
7 points.
Willie, you're going first through the course.
Yep.
Well, I'll have the record for that one time.
So if you read 7.3, we just need a board member to be part of the
Or
advisory.
7.2?
7. Oops, sorry, excuse me. 7.2, consider approval of facilities agreement with the City of Virginia for Tennis for All.
So moved.
Moved by Director Reardon, support by Director Lotiger. Any discussion?
It's the same it's been for the,
Forever.
yeah.
Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. 7.3, everybody read it, just consider designating one volunteer to the Joint Advisory Group for the City of Evelyn. The advisory group will be engaging in phase 2 and 3 of the planning process of that facility.
I'd volunteer for that.
I'd like to nominate John Yuhan for that group.
I will.
Thank you.
Okay,
I do appreciate that.
Okay, so how do we gotta, okay, so John, any other nominations?
No.
Besides John?
No.
Okay, John, you're it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so John Yuhan will be the volunteer.
Board rep.
Yeah, the volunteer. 7.4, consider approval request from the City of Gilbert for the decorative lights outside the Nell Sheen as well as remaining historical markers. I will make that motion to approve.
Support.
And support by Colbert Dahl. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 7.5 is a two-part thing, Will. You're going to have to, because we only got one piece of paper, 7.5 and 7.6. But 7.5 is consider approval request for the Virginia Historical Societies for the items listed.
Is that the piece of paper you got?
Yeah. Okay.
Do
Then we,
that on 7.5.
okay, so we'll approve. Can I get a motion to approve 7.5 with the paper that you got in your board packet or on your?
I will make that motion.
Motion by Director Lotiger. Support by Director Reardon. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 7.6, consider approval for request from the City of Virginia Historical Society.
Or just the Virginia Area Historical Society,
Yeah.
not the city of, just so people don't get.
Excuse me.
So as people were going through and looking, we had somebody notice that there are a ton of 100-year-old receipts and 100-year-old teacher notes and some, just all kinds of, I don't know, just data, information with people's names on it still in the vault in Gilbert. And the Virginia Area Historical Society is interested in having that information. We have to do something with it before
The building comes on.
due bid pickup anyways.
Yeah.
So this works out perfectly, in my opinion. Of course, I'm pushing my opinion on you, but it ends up to be a match anyways. If someone wants that information, it appears to me that they probably could have it. So
And-
that's why.
Yep, and for members of the board, just, these are not official school records. It's not like transcripts, grades.
Receipts, it's receipts from bull hockey in if they're not from 1938, but
It can be a little bit of history.
So I'm fine with it, but I'm just wondering, does Gilbert didn't want them? Okay.
Gilbert has gone through
Everything they wanted.
Yeah.
Perfect,
And they
thank
actually
you.
have one coming up, I think, or did you just do that right at 0.4? That was the last thing they asked for was at 7.4, those lights outside of Nell Sheen.
Perfect.
But Gilbert has gone through and is not interested in any of that stuff.
So can I get a motion for 7.6?
I make a motion.
Motion by Director Westby, support
Support.
by Director Yuhan. Any discussion? I will just say that I did talk to a member of the Historical Society, and what's in these boxes consists of grocery receipts from all the
Great
local
stuff, right? Historical.
the grocery receipts from Elkhorn to McKinley,
Yes.
Gilbert. There's bus purchase receipts from like back in the 30s and 40s. There's car purchase receipts. I mean, this is stuff that to us we probably wouldn't think nothing of it, but to me I find it very interesting. So I would feel that throwing away would be
Historical data that's usually destroyed.
yeah.
It's really neat.
So when I was told about that, I was like, absolutely, So when no more discussion on 7.6, can I get a motion to approve 7.6?
We already
No,
did
I mean,
that.
motion, I mean, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, meeting announcements. Our next regular meeting will be October 23rd here at the Rockridge School Board. Now, I would ask for a motion to go into closed session per Minnesota statute 13D.05.
I make a motion.
Motion by Director Westby, support by Director Lotiger. All those in favor signify by saying aye to go into closed session.
I.
Aye. Opposed?
Like green, there we go. I'd like to make a motion that we come out of our closed session at 7:53.
I second.
A motion by Director Reardon, we got support by Director Westby to come out of closed session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll go back into, we'll move to go back into our open meeting. Right, we need a motion to go back into open meeting, right?
We just did that.
I just did that.
Come out of closed session. Okay, all right. All right, so as per the resolution discussed in closed session, by resolution,
Is there, I'd make a motion to accept the resolution, move forward with the resolution that was presented in closed session.
Second.
second by Director Westby.
No, Albert.
Albert Dahl. Albert Dahl.
Wrong corner.
Yep, all right. Okay, so
This is a roll call vote.
roll call vote. Director Reardon,
Yes.
Director Lotiger,
Yes.
Director Westby,
No.
Director Yuhan.
Yes.
Director Addy's a yes. Director Colbert Dahl.
Yes.
That'll be a
5-1.
5-1 vote
Yep.
to move forward with the resolution discussed in closed session. At this time, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
Make a motion by Director Westby. Support. Support by Director Yuhan. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.